It's 3 months. It's 6 months. It's 9 months. It's 12 months. We're not talking about a pregnancy, folks. We're talking about what happens when someone says, call me in 3 or 6 months, and then you call them again, and then next thing you know, it's another 3 or 6 months. And so the key to handling this objection is to realize that this is oftentimes what a nice prospect will do to let you down softly, and you need to get to the truth as quickly as possible and use that truth to convince them to meet with you today. So we're going to walk through number 1, the keys to handling this objection. Number 2, we're going to walk through a live role play of this objection. And then of course, number 3, we are going to walk through what happened in that role play and how you can repeat it for your own cold calls. Alrighty? And a 3, 2, 1. That's it for the video today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this section of it. The remainder of this video will be coming in 6 months. I'm kidding. Let's get on with this thing. So you hear call me in 6 months on a cold call, and you gotta remember, whether it's 3, 6, 9, 12 months, there is almost never anything actually going on in 6 months that prevents them from meeting with you today. It's really just a nice prospect's way of saying, I'm not interested. And so what you should not do when you hear this is you should not write it down in your calendar and follow it up then, because suddenly your prospect is now part of the witness protection program. You will never hear from them ever again because they've got away safe. The opposite mistake that people will make, they'll try to pressure sale them in the meeting right now. They'll say cheesy things like, oh, well, we could save you a lot of time, so you do have some time back in your calendar. Why don't we just meet next week? Or they might say, oh, I know you're very busy, but many customers have saved XYZ amount of dollars by meeting with us today. Can you afford to burn all of that cash? Obviously, you're not always that cheesy with it, but essentially what you need to do here is create a safe space where they can share some more information around why they're not willing to meet right now, and then use that information to explain why they'll still get something out of meeting with you today, even if they don't buy at all. The way that we're gonna break this thing down is using the classic Mr. Miyagi method over there, if you haven't seen it. It's really 3 simple steps. Step number 1 is we're going to agree with their objection. We're gonna let them know that there's pretty much 0% chance that you're gonna buy this thing in 6 months. Step number 2, we're going to pull or incentivize them to give us more information. And so just so no one else calls them in the next 6 months, we're gonna ask them what's going on. And now that we know what is actually going on in 6 months, we can then step 3, use what's going on in 6 months as a reason for them to meet with us today so they can be a little bit more informed before that big magic moment comes in 6 months, which again is usually nothing. Okay, so now I get to call my good friend Nick, who apparently has nothing they can do in the next 6 months. Ring, ring. Hey, Armand, I totally appreciate the call, but I've just got way too much going on right now. Could you give me a ring in 6 months? This one's my bad. I should have assumed every CFO with this whole economy thing is totally swamped right now. So I'm going to make sure that no one calls you in the next 6 months. Just so when I reach back out, I don't sound totally misinformed. Could you give me a sense of what's going on in 6 months just so I can take it down as a note? We're just totally underwater with this audit. Our controller just left and it feels like I'm doing 3 jobs. I would love to take a call with you, but I just have no time for this whatsoever. I really appreciate you sharing all that, and it sounds like things are totally underwater right now. So I took a note down on my end to reach back out in 6 months. But hey, crazy thought here. It sounds like you've got some moderate interest in this thing. But again, I don't think you're going to buy right now, or frankly, even in 6 months with just everything that's going on. But some CFOs, they just sort of want to stay in the know and see what's out there, just in case a free minute pops up and you might consider something like us. You can avoid the whole dog and pony show of demos and all of that stuff, and you'll at least know what your options are. So I guess, are you completely against taking a look at this thing for 15 minutes next week? Not for now, but for some point down the road. I appreciate the persistence. I love it when my sales reps do the same thing, but I've just got way too much going on right now. I appreciate you just answering all my questions here. Just before I let you go, there are some people who are really just not interested in what I'm doing whatsoever. I would hate to be that burden that keeps calling you again and again. And a lot of people just really want to tell me to go away. Is that what's happening here? Or should I actually call you in 6 months? No. We've actually looked at this thing before and we're interested in looking at it at some point. It's just right now I'm super busy. Here's what I'm going to do. I'll throw a dart at the calendar and I'll throw it for next quarter. My guess is it's still going to be super swamped at that point. But if you're not completely against it, maybe at that point we'll do a 15-minute harbor tour. Is that cool with you? Okay, so there are a few extra steps in there that are additions to the Mr. Miyagi method. So the first thing we did is we agreed with the objection. We said, hey, there's no way you're gonna buy this thing in the next 6 months. You're totally right, Nick. We've removed the pressure of the sale. Then we used that to incentivize them to share more. We said, hey, just so no one else calls you again, or just so I come a little bit more prepared and I don't show up like a complete rando, could you give me a sense of what's going on? And that's gonna tell me if it's a real event or a fake event. In this case, it was a little bit of both. They've got stuff going on, but there's nothing in this arbitrary 6-month time frame that's really gonna change. So really what I need to do is I need to figure out how I get in front of them in a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of months, just so that they're gonna be a little bit out of the woods and they feel like I've given them some breathing room. And they still said no. This person actually sounded like they were busy, but still, I was going to draw on a couple of the emotional heartstrings by getting them to truly confirm that I'm not going in this rat race of chasing them again and again and again. And that's when I started to push them away. That's one more tactic that you can add to your arsenal, is if you feel like someone's not giving you the real answer, try to push them away. And what he said in return is, no, I actually am interested. I'm not just telling you that I'm not interested. And then you can use that whole back momentum to throw a dart at the calendar. And 9 times out of 10, they will not say no to that dart if you give them a couple of months. So instead of having a 6-month out note in my calendar, I've landed a 3-month out meeting on the books. And there's a world in which he could have ended that role play earlier, and I might have booked that meeting after trying to sell the meeting the first time. But if you can't sell the meeting the first time, always try to get a dart on the calendar that takes I'm interested a little bit and puts that right in their calendar. That's how you handle call me in 6 months. And if you like what you saw here, we've basically got every other objection and more coming your way soon. Check those ones out on the channel. Check out some of the ones from Nick. Some of his videos are sort of weird, but you might choose to watch some of Nick's videos as well. That's all we got today, folks. Tune into the next one. Like and sub. Peace out.